Now we go back to Visual Studio. We're going to basically, in my case, I'm going to create this in the same solution that has our table storage option and our Cosmos DB option. I'm going to create this for SQL DB. Now the framework for SQL DB is system.data.sql client. Okay, and we're going to start off with a pretty blank program, except we copied the employee entity from the Cosmos DB tab. So the same first name, last name option is going to be here. Okay. Now, hopefully you know, because this is a programming exam after all, and connecting to a database is a fairly common programming task. We're going to basically need a connection string in order to create a connection with the SQL Server. That connection string is found in our SQL database under connection strings settings. So it gives us many programming languages here. We can just copy this. You'll notice it has space for your username and your password. But this is the connection string we're going to use in our program. Okay, so I haven't yet filled in your username, your password bit, but I will. Now, using ADO.NET to connect to a database is done through a SQL connection and SQL command. So I can create the connection, so SQL connection, passing the connection string. And then if I want to run commands against this, I can say SQL command, and it requires some type of command and a link to that SQL connection. Okay, so we can say something, and then the connection would go there. In this case, our command could be something like insert employee. We've got first name, I think I capitalized it, last name, values, and we'll do this as parameters, right? So first name, last name. Okay, so the very simple command that we can use for our SQL command. Now, of course, we haven't created the entity yet, so we can say employee entity, employee equals new employee entity, where employee first name equals John, employee last name equals Doe. We have our object here. Oops. And, oh, it doesn't like that. And then what we need to do is basically go to the parameter settings for the command, say add with value, and then we're looking for first name, and then we can pass in employee first name. This is a very simplistic example, I admit, but then last name, we can pass in the last name. We have to open the connection, so open a link to our database. We want to execute this non-query. So there's no results that we're expecting from this. It's just an insert. And we can basically assume that worked, close the connection, and have a we can double check that that's actually inserted data into our database, right? So I updated the connection string with my user ID and password. I'm going to say build succeeded. Then I should be able to say start. And the program started and ran. Now if we go to our SQL Server Management Studio and refresh this, we can see our employee table. And if I said select 1,000 rows, see how quick this is. It returned to me one row, John Doe. So we just inserted this and we're able to see that the data is being returned. So again, this should be very standard in terms of database programming, working with SQL Server in your local. This time it's SQL database running in the cloud. Like I said, there are subtle differences between the two, but 95% plus of all applications should be able to just be transported by changing the connection string. Okay. So that's it. We've got our SQL database running. It's another option for working with data in the cloud.